Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Playing Lion Rampant Sun Online. This is a tutorial and playtest that we have organized. I am Edward Gafton. I will be the person behind the wheel, driving the live stream, as it were. And with me, I have the two creators of the game, Gianluca Raccani and James Holloway. And Gianluca, I'm going to let you moderate this from here on out.
Perfect. Thank you. Welcome to the YouTube channel of the Eastern Games Lab. As Edward just mentioned, tonight we are discussing how to play Lion Rampant online. James Holloway, who co-authored Lion Rampant, a Viking in the Sun, will provide a brief tutorial and on how to do it, and then we will play a scenario from A Viking in the Sun, the third scenario of the third campaign, Normans against Byzantines at the Battle of Monte Maggiore of 1041. So we thought to have this evening and to provide this tutorial because that is how we play tested A Viking in the Sun. The various authors were living in different locations. So what we did, we play tested most of it, not all of it, because we play tested some of it in the traditional way as well. But since we play tested some of it online, we thought, well, why don't we share this experience with the wider public? And here we are this evening. We are also James. I was using the plural, but in reality, James created a digital material as well that we will upload on Drive-Thru RPG shortly. In fact, we have already done it, and we are waiting for the material to be made public. So what you will see tonight is from Viking in the Sun, but something very similar we have created for Lion Rampant Crusader States. That is maps and tokens that you will be able to use on Roll20 if you like to do that. Perfect. So basically tonight we have first a tutorial, and James will talk about it on how to play Lion Rampant on Roll20, and then we play a scenario together, me and James.
All right, great.
So up to you, James.
All right, thank you. Like Gianluca said, while we were creating Lion Rampant, A Viking in the Sun, obviously most of the time it was not possible for us to actually play in person, and so we arranged some of the playtests online. Now, there's been a lot of people have tried different solutions for playing miniatures games online. I know that some of you are fans of Tabletop Simulator, for example. And because I'm also a role player, I'd used the online tool Roll20 a lot, and I thought that it would mesh very well with um, the simplicity of the Lion Rampant system. So what I want to do first this evening is just show you how we're doing this, because it's actually very simple. But there are a few things that that you sort of need to know about how to use the Roll20 interface if you want to use it to play miniatures games. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen so that I can show you the Roll20 window that I've got open. So let me just do that. Okay. So I'm now logged into Roll20 as myself. It's free to create an account. There are paid features that you can get with a paid account, but I don't have one, so I don't know what they are. When you create a game using this button up in the corner, create new game. As you can see, I've already got one created for A Viking in the Sun. And games are persistent, right? They sort of are intended to be a like a role-playing campaign. So once you've done most of this, you won't have to do it twice. So as you can see, I've created one for Viking in the Sun. I'm going to go ahead and hit the launch game button, which should open it up. That's one of the things that we have because I don't have a paid account. Okay, so let's going to the top bar here. You can see that we have a a set of, these are what are called pages. I'm going to go to the one that I've decided to use for today. This is called Livestream Test. Now there's a lot to this interface, but basically what I'm doing is creating a map, right? So if you imagine a battle map that someone might use in a session of D&D, that's kind of what this page is intended to do. And you can see that it has a square grid and so on. But if I go up to this page toolbar and I go into the settings of the page, I can make the first of the changes that we're going to want to make in order to make this map work for Lion Rampant. Now, according to the rulebook, the sort of default Lion Rampant table size is 6 feet by 4 feet. Now, as it happens, I know that not everybody uses that. 4 by 4 is pretty common too, or even 3 by 3. But for now, we're going to assume that we're going to do a 6 by 4. But of course, you can set it to whatever size you like. So you can see here that we have these size settings. Which is basically how many squares this map is, right? So right now it's 25 squares by 25 squares. So we're going to set it so that it is 72 by 48 squares. This makes a pretty big image, by the way. Kind of one of the downsides. If, like me, you only have the free account, when you're uploading these large, colorful maps, you'll only have a few in circulation because they're pretty big. We're going to change. So when we get to the scale, this says grid cell distance. Now, if you played, a recent, like last 20 years edition of Dungeons and Dragons, you'll know that a square is meant to be 5 feet. And most things D&D are kind of the default on Roll20, but they don't have to be. So instead of 5 feet, we're going to change our grid cell distance to 1 inch. Okay? So essentially, the grid setup is now just going to function like a ruler for our purposes, right? To help us measure distances on the tabletop. And we're going to go ahead and set measurement to Euclidean, which basically means that it's going to actually measure distances rather than calculate them the way D&D does. That may not seem very important, and indeed, maybe it's not, but it's just how I prefer it. You can experiment with the different settings if you'd like. Okay, so we've got width 72, height 48, grid cell distance 1 inch, measurement Euclidean. So I'm going to go ahead and save those settings. And I'm going to return to the page. Over here in the top right hand corner of the map window, it's a little zoom button. So you can see now I have my 6 by 4 my 6 by 4 table, as it were. And the next thing that I need to do is make sure that it has some terrain on it. So using this menu over here on the left, if you're ever having trouble positioning or moving something on a Roll20 map, the answer is almost certainly that the thing you're trying to move is on the wrong layer. Right? So if you've ever used Photoshop or anything like that, where you have different layers of an image, same idea on Roll20. So we have the objects and tokens layer, which is where your kind of miniatures are going to be. And then we have the map and background layer, which is the scenery. And typically your map and background layer is not movable by the players. So first we're going to switch to the map and background layer. And then now we're going to need to add an image for the map. It's very simple. You just open up whatever whatever image you've got saved on your computer, and you move it to the thing like so. Just drag it and drop it into the window. And you'll see here it's appeared. It's a little small at present. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just expand it. And you notice that it kind of, it aligns itself to the grid. Right now, I haven't got the grid turned off. I am going to turn it off when we actually start playing. But for now, I'm going to keep it on because it just makes it a little easier to set things up. Okay, so here I've got my map. You can see I've put some terrain on it. I made this map using a piece of cartography software called Incarnate. That's with a K, like ink, as if one would draw. And let's just make sure that we've got our measurements working. So this icon, I don't know why it's this icon, but this is the measurement icon. And you can see right now the grid is on, and I'm going to keep it on for a little while longer for reasons that'll become clear shortly. But as you can see, by clicking and holding when that icon is selected, I can measure distances, right? So if I want to measure how far my units can move, or I want to measure the range of an attack or anything like that, I can use that that range finder. I can use this to measure distances, right? It's basically a little ruler. And eventually I will turn it off, but we'll get to that in a sec. Similarly, over here, I have other tools. For example, I can write on the map. So, for example, if I wanted to, one thing that's really useful is, let's say you wanted to specify the terrain type of a piece of scenery, right? One thing to remember is that because this table is, notionally 72 by 48 inches, it is huge, and therefore the you need to make sure that your text is big enough for players to read when it's zoomed out. But so now we have a map, and we can measure distances on it, which is great. But we also need some miniatures. So what I've done is I've created some tokens. So over here in the right hand column, you'll see. So we've got this is the chat where things like dice rolling results are displayed, and we'll talk about dice rolling in a moment. Then we've got this, which is the image. This is your image library. And so I have taken the liberty of uploading some images already. And so let's say, we're in the scenario today, we're going to play Normans versus Byzantines. I've taken and made these little images out of, images from medieval, well, in the case of the Normans, from the Bayeux Tapestry. So let's say we want to take a Norman archer. I want to make sure that he's 1 grid square large, which would represent, since the grid square is 1 inch, that would represent a miniature on 25 millimeter base, which is, of course, what most people play with. Maybe you want to make your cavalry bigger, maybe not. That's up to you. But we're playing with them all on 25 millimeter bases. Oh, and look what I've done. I've done exactly what I said you shouldn't do, and I've put them on the map layer. So I'm going to delete them, and I'm going to go ahead and shift to the objects and tokens layer. Okay. What this means is that during the game, the players are going to be able to move them. So I'm going to take my archer, and I'm going to put him on here. I'm going to shrink him down to 1 grid square. And now you can see here, he's got some, these are different kind of, if this were an RPG, we'd use this to keep track of his hit points and things. I'm not going to worry about that for now, but I'm going to do 2 things. First, I'm going to pop into his settings, and I'm going to make sure that anybody can move the model, right? So I'm going to set it to controlled by all players. This means that maybe there's multiple players and a GM. In that case, they could all move the figure. So controllable by all players. And I'm going to save settings. So now I can pick him up. I can move him around. Notice, because we still have the grid, he kind of snaps into position on the grid. Now in Lion Rampant, archers come in units of 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit Control C. I don't know what it is on a Mac. Apple C, I guess. Control V to copy and paste. And I'm just going to make 4 of them. You can just click and drag to select a group of them. And then another 4. And because I set the controllable by all players first, all of these tokens that I'm copying are going to have the same characteristics of the one that I copied, right? So notice that they are all still controllable by all players. So you always want to make sure that you set the controls first before you go copying your miniatures, or else you'll have to do the, setting them to control by all players 12 times for each unit, and that'll be a nuisance. Now, I think that my image of this archer is extremely clear. But let's say, for example, for instance, in Lion Rampant, Viking in the Sun, Normans actually don't have archers. We don't think that Normans were using organized units of archers at that time. So in fact, these must be a 6-man unit of skirmishers. And so let's say I want to avoid confusion. What I'm going to do is take this model and I'm going to give him a name, and I'm going to say skirmishers, and I have to tick this little box here, nameplate, so that that's visible to the players, right? If this were a role-playing game, if I gave him that name, I as the GM could see it, but maybe the players could not. Okay, so now, just in case anyone's not sure what my very clear miniature means, it says skirmishers, and that's going to be particularly useful if, for example, in the Norman army, we're going to have things like medium cavalry and elite cavalry that might be hard to tell apart at a glance. Now we can have a label on them that makes them that makes them distinguishable. And for our purposes as well, obviously, in let's say you had a unit of elite cavalry. Again, controlled by all players. Now I'm only going to make 5 of these because in a Norman army, your leader is almost certainly going to be an elite cavalry unit, and I want to have a different miniature for my leader to make him stand out. And so once again, I'm gonna give him the nameplate. I'm gonna just slot him in there. And if you don't have a distinct token, one thing you might do is you can mark figures. So if you click on this, I don't know at all what this is supposed to be, but if you click on it, you can add these little symbols. Most of them are not really relevant to our purposes, right? They're meant to indicate kind of RPG things like being blinded or slowed or whatever. But we can give him, a little red dot that just indicates that he is special. Not necessary, but, might come in handy if you don't have another good way to tell your leader apart. Now, also in Lion Rampant, you have leaders have a command radius. So if they're within 12 inches of somebody, that unit can use their bonuses. Although in some of the armies in Viking in the Sun, that's not always true. They're very they're very disunited armies, and not everyone can actually use the leader's bonus. But if I want to, one thing I can do is that I can measure that easily by giving this model an aura, right? So you see down here at the bottom of this token settings section, there's a thing called token aura. And I'm going to say, I'm going to give it a 12-inch radius. The shape is in a circle, and the tint color is going to be red because that's the color that I've assigned kind of for the base edges of these figures, and save settings. And now we can see that the leader projects his radius. So I can always tell when somebody's moving into or out of the leader's command radius. Now you might find this a little bit much. It obviously a 12-inch radius circle on a board 6 feet across it takes up quite a lot of it. So maybe you think it's intrusive, but it's just one way to to measure the command radius and other radiuses of effect. Okay, so now we've got a board and we've got some miniatures. So the next thing that we want to do is be able to roll some dice. And this is one of the reasons that I think that Lion Rampant and other Rampant derived games, like Dragon Rampant or Pikeman's Lament or whatever, are so well suited to playing on a virtual tabletop like Roll20. We're using Roll20 here. That is the one that we used, and therefore the one that we're most familiar with. It's, if you're using another virtual tabletop like Foundry or Owlbear Rodeo, a lot of these same things will be possible. I have not tried this with either of those, but if you know more about those than I do, which would be most people, I welcome your suggestions. So we've got, what I've done is that I have created what are called macros for this for the dice rolling in this game, because there are only 4 possible sets of dice that you can roll in Lion Rampant. You can either roll 12 dice to make an attack or shoot action with a full strength unit. You can roll 6 dice if it's a half strength unit. You can roll 2 dice for activations, and you can roll a duel, which is one of those rules that, although it is quite important, we always forget to do it. So the normal way of rolling dice is, if you look in the in this chat bar, which I've just opened up, you can give it commands. So, for example, you could type in the chat bar /roll2d6. Then it'll roll some dice. You see there, I rolled an 8. You can turn the animated dice off and on. I've left them on because I thought they were fun. But there are times when you may not think that they are so great. And if that's the case, then you can turn them off here in the settings menu. So you can just unclick enable 3D dice, or you can unclick automatically roll 3D dice so that you roll 3D dice sometimes, but not other times. So what I've done is that I've created, down at the bottom left-hand of part of the screen, you can see these 4 buttons: 12 dice, 6 dice, 2 dice, and duel. Those took a little more, like, you have to be a little bit familiar with how Roll20 does this, but there are some pretty good help documents online, and a big community of users, so it's not hard to get that information. Basically, you create these what are called macros. You can hide or display the quick bar. You can add or remove individual macros from that bar. Now I've really messed that up. There we go. That's a bit better. Okay, that's reorganized a little bit better. And you can actually create other things. You could create tables. You can add like decks of event cards. Those aren't really features that this game uses very much. If you wanted to, you could fully incorporate the actions that units have into essentially giving them character sheets, which would be stored here in the journal section. But we have I have not done that. The mysterious note is just the name of a default item that is included in every game's journal. There are no mysterious notes in this game. So, if I need to make an attack activation, then I just go ahead and I click this button that says 2 dice, and hey presto, it rolls 2 dice. And if I'm using the 3D dice, I don't even have to bother looking at the chat window to read my results. Now, this can be a little awkward when, say, I have to roll 12 dice. Screen gets a little cluttered. So you might want to, turn it off for some and not others. And I wrote the macros so that they would display like this. So if you go into the chat window, you'll see, instead of like adding the numbers and totaling them all together for the 6 and 12 dice things, it just shows you what the results were. This is a pretty good roll right there. And 1s will be highlighted in red, and 6s will be highlighted in green. I don't know why that is, but it just is. Again, I think it's a D&D thing, right? That you want to know if you rolled a 20. Okay, so let's see. I've talked about measurement. Movement is very simple. You just use this little arrow icon, and you pick a token up, and you move it, and just to wherever you want it to go. You can drag and select, your tokens to move them as a group. You measure distances, as I said, using this one. So let's say we know that elite cavalry have a move of 10 inches. So we would know that we can go here. And if you want to identify a spot, you just click and hold on it, and you'll see, you have to be in the select move thing. So you click and hold on it, and you'll see that it creates a little pulse in the color associated with you as a player. So then I could pick my guys up and move them to the position where they were. Now that I have got my models on the board, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the grid so that they will no longer snap. I do that by going up into the live stream test page and going to the page settings, scroll down, and just go to grid off. One of the curious things about this system is that the measurement scale will remain. So if I start to measure from here, you'll see that it's no longer snapping to the grid. I can now just point the measurement to wherever I want. But once you have turned the grid off, you can no longer change the scale until you turn the grid back on. So you have to do it in the order that I did it, right? So you have to first set up the grid, then specify the scale, then turn the grid off. One of the things that kind of runs through, using a virtual tabletop like this one is we are using it for something that's not necessarily intended to be used for. So there are some oddities in terms of how it works. But I think, it's a pretty straightforward workaround. Okay, so we've got figures on the board. How did they get there? So I went on to the art library page, and scrolling up to the top, I just clicked this upload button, and once again, you can just drop some files in there. I made these using these ones I made using a token creation tool called Token Tool, but there are lots of other ones. The ones that are in our digital content collection, I made just using image editing software, just using paint.net. So they're very straightforward to make. We use a 94 by 94 pixel ping, I think that's right, which will sort of default to 1 inch on here on Roll20. Okay, so having said all that, at the risk of a cliche, here's one I made earlier. So if you were looking, one other thing, here's this bookmark banner. If you were looking at either Gianluca or Edward's screens right now, they would not be seeing anything. They would just be seeing this blank page because that's where the players are. So I can move the players to the live stream test page. If different people are seeing different things, it's because this red banner's on the wrong page. So I can see that they're logged in here, by the way, because they're up here at the top left-hand corner of the screen. So now I'm sure they've been very perplexed if they've been looking at their own windows, but now they should see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the players and I'm going to move them to this other almost identical page. I'm going to click over there myself, and you can see that I've got everything ready for the scenario that we're going to be playing tonight. So before we jump into that, and let me turn off the grid for this one as well. Before we jump into that, I don't know if people have questions or if there's anything else that anything that I might have left out. Does that seem clear?
Yeah, you're all good, James. No questions from YouTube. So if you want to start a scenario, start playing, yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Well, then let's start getting set up. So I have put I've created 2 armies, and I've put them on the board, as it were. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that our viewers can see them. These are all based on different historical. Well, I was going to say manuscripts, but actually they're not all manuscripts. Most of the Byzantine forces over here with the blue edges come from one of the manuscripts that we used a lot in our project, which is, of course, the Madrid manuscript of John Skylitzy's Synopsis of Histories. That's all of these figures up here come from there. The infantry are an icon. I wonder, well, not an icon, but a painting of that Joshua, but as a Byzantine infantryman. And then the archers actually had to be substituted from my kind of generic medieval manuscript collection because I didn't happen to have a good Byzantine archer image to hand. Meanwhile, if we go over to the other side of the board, we'll see that the Normans, I mean, where else would they come from? They're all from the Bayeux Tapestry, including as the leader, there's Duke William, who I presume is not actually hunting down fugitives in 20 years before Hastings in Italy. And then in the center, I'm zooming in and out using my scroll wheel, and it's a little awkward. You can also do it using this tool right here. In the center, you can see we have some wagons, which are being driven by monkeys. I'd have to look up where they come from, but they're from a medieval English manuscript, and I think that these levy, these peasants, are from the Grande Chronique de France, but don't quote me. But so as you can see, I've been going through going through medieval manuscripts and finding suitable images, and you can see more of that in our digital content collection when it comes out. So now we talked earlier, Gianluca, and you said that you like to play the Normans in this scenario.
Yeah.
So why don't, while I get set up putting I just need to sort out the arrangement of things on the center of the board. But while I do that, why don't you tell viewers a little bit about the historical background to this scenario?
Yes, it is from, as I mentioned, from Viking in the Sun, and from the third campaign, the one in Apulia. And it represents the second main battle of the rebellion, Norman/Lombard rebellion, that eventually led to the the Norman conquest of southern Italy. So it is based on an account of the Battle of Monte Maggiore. So there is this rebellion in northern Apulia of including some troops from the Lombard Principality of Benevento and Norman troops who had fought with the Byzantines in Sicily. There was a quarrel for the booty in Sicily during the Byzantine invasion of Muslim Sicily, and the Normans left. And when they moved to the old territories in the Italian mainland, they actually took part in a rebellion against their former employers. Edward, can you show the map very quickly so I can show where the battle takes place? Edward?
Yeah, just a moment. I have the map on screen right now.
Perfect. So basically, you can see. Okay, I thought I don't see it on my screen, but basically you can see the Duchy of Benevento and the Byzantine territory that is in Apulia, to the south of that. But the battle takes place next to the border on the very top, in May 1041. So the Byzantines have already lost one battle, the Battle of Olivento, and it was a terrible defeat, but it didn't. It was not a very significant defeat from a strategic point of view. So the Battle of Monte Maggiore took place very close to it. So the Normans and the Lombards did not increase their territory very much after the first victory. So they have the second victory at the Battle of Monte Maggiore, which is particularly famous because, or important because, again, the Normans and the Lombards defeated a much bigger Byzantine army, and not only that, they also took control of the wagons of the Byzantines. I read very briefly the abstract, passages that we used for this scenario. They come from the History of the Normans by Amatus of Monte Cassino. Amatus was writing at the end of the 11th century, shortly after the Norman conquest of southern Italy. And he is the main author, the main source on this battle. He was basically he wrote his history for Richard Drengot and Robert Guiscard, the second generation Norman conquerors of southern Italy, to celebrate basically the origins of the Norman conquests. Amatus was writing from the famous monastery of Monte Cassino that was destroyed in World War II. Monte Cassino originally was against the Normans, but after the Normans took over southern Italy, Monte Cassino switched allegiance to them as well. So this is the passage that we used. When they, the Normans, had chosen their leader, and at this time the leader of the Normans was Atenulf, Duke and Prince of Benevento. Excuse me, there is my children wants to come in as well. The brother of the Lombard, the Prince of Benevento, they gathered and went into battle. And time after time, they beat back the Byzantine emperor's knights. The valiant and strong Normans became very wealthy by acquiring vestments of various colors, ornaments, tents, vessels of gold and silver, horses, and valuable arms, for it was the custom of the Greeks to carry all their impedimenta with them when they went into battle. So after this second battle, they acquired all these resources. The Byzantine commander, after 2 consecutive defeats, was recalled to Byzantium. His name was Michael Dokeyanus, famous for his big defeats, despite his numerical superiority. And poor Dokeyanus was then sent against the Pechenegs. Say hi to my son Alexander. Bye, Alex. Was sent against the Pechenegs, and he didn't end up well because he was defeated by the Pechenegs as well. The Pechenegs captured him, so succeeded where the Normans had not. And he ended his day cut in pieces by the Pechenegs after he injured their generals during some negotiations during the defeat. While the Normans, Atenulf, the Lombard prince, was then put aside for in favor of the Normans. The Normans took over the Lombard rebellion, especially thanks to the Hauteville family. So one of the Norman generals here during the battle is William Ionarm Hauteville, of the first generation Normans who reached southern Italy. Eventually, he died a couple of years after the battle, and the rest of his family, especially Guiscard and Roger Hauteville, took over and completed the conquest of southern Italy. So that is the historical background. In this scenario, we have so the scenario recreates the moments after the battle when the Normans find the wagons and capture them. But in this case, a couple of wagons have managed to escape the battle, and they are trying to reach Bari, which was still under Byzantine rule, together with a couple of units of Byzantine units who are escaping. The Normans and Lombards are in pursuit, but also there are other units of the Byzantine army who else are in the area, and eventually they intervene to save the wagons. Will they save the wagons? We'll find out in a moment.
All right. So if you look at the, I don't know if we're showing.
We are showing your screen. Yeah.
Okay, great. So the special rules of the scenario start with deployment. So you can see that here in the center of the board, we've got 2 wagons deployed together with 2 units. Now, they are not necessarily both controlled by the Byzantine players. So you've got these Byzantine infantry who are. And then we've got these levy who represent sort of camp followers. And we will roll randomly to see what they do at the beginning of the game. They may try to link back up with the Byzantine forces. They may decide to run away. We just don't know. In the corners of the board, we have the remaining two forces. So we've got the Byzantines over here in the top right, and the Normans over here in the top left. Normans are always outnumbered. It's the it's deceptive. They're actually quite strong. So I'll be playing the Byzantines, and while we were going through the historical introduction, I in the setup I get to choose one of my units to position with the wagons, and I've decided to do this with the medium infantry, kind of the dependable backbone of a Byzantine force. They're slow, but I think they'll do a good job of protecting the wagons. I've also got up in the corner, I have my leader. So again, I didn't have a special leader figure handy, so I've just marked him with a dot. I have a unit of medium cavalry, containing my leader, a unit of elite infantry representing Varangians, a unit of light cavalry with javelins, quite a lot of light cavalry with javelins in Viking in the Sun. This is not this part of the med's not a theater where you get a lot of horse archers. A unit of skirmishers and a unit of archers. So pretty balanced composition. And then over in the upper left, we've got Gianluca's Norman force. He also has a unit of skirmishers, a unit of medium cavalry. Oh, I should say that my medium cavalry have a minor sacred item. I presume, their banner, which gives them +1 to their courage. And then he's got a unit of light cavalry with javelins, light infantry with mixed weapons, which means that they do also have a shoot activation. And although they have only a 12-inch range, and as his leader unit, a unit of elite cavalry, and Norman elite cavalry in particular are quite dangerous. As one of their warband's special rules, they can take the drilled upgrade for free. Now, it may be that this Norman roster is not quite right. No, okay. So the only thing that's that this is from a previous game. As you can see, if you look at the Norman roster, you'll see that it also has a unit of light infantry with javelins, which this force does not have. So we've got light cavalry, they've got javelins, we've got light infantry with mixed weapons, but we don't have this light infantry with javelins. Otherwise, they are all the same. So this is a thing that you can do on Roll20, is you can put what they call handouts in the players' journals. So if you don't have a copy of your army list to hand, you can put it there, and anyone can look at it, and you can either keep it in the same window or pop it out into a new one. So now then, the next thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to need to deploy our forces. I can never remember who deploys first, but as I am the defender, I will go ahead and deploy first. I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Now, in this scenario, we both deploy in the corners of the board. So me in the northeastern corner, and Gianluca in the northwestern corner.
Before we get started, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, yeah.
It is important to zoom in as much as possible for the audiences.
Good idea. Okay, so I will zoom in to where I'm deploying.
So please do keep in mind that
we'll do.
It is important to be zoomed in, so we can
otherwise
see
it's going to be, particularly if the screen is small, it's going to be hard to see. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get set up. 1 second. Now, one of the most important rules in Lion Rampant, of course, my units cannot be within 3 inches of each other. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start by putting my skirmishers over somewhere toward these woods. They are, they're pretty fast, and they don't take movement penalties when they're moving through rough terrain. So that seems like a good place for them. Then I want to make sure that my elite infantry are as far forward as possible as well, because they are quite slow. And I, they're if they, otherwise they're not going to, they're not gonna get very far. Now, this is gonna be quite tricky because space is a bit limited. I'll go out to there and about to here. Okay. Seems to be like here. Careful deployment is M. Well, then I'm just gonna switch the positions of these units. I need to be a little bit further back. And then I'm gonna these guys. Yeah, that may actually even be further out than I can be, but I just don't know how else to fit them all in with the 3-inch limit, because they're in a corner zone, which are very small. Yeah. He's like, yeah, we're gonna have to move up a skosh. Okay, so I think that's where we're gonna be.
My turn.
Yep. So you go ahead and get set up, and then you will take the first turn. So I'm gonna the screen that the viewers are seeing is my screen. So I'm just gonna go over to the corner where Gianluca is setting up.
So these with the tree is rough terrain.
So my assumption is that the hills are hills, the woods are rough terrain.
Okay.
And probably this this farm area down here obviously has the fields are rough terrain and have an obstacle. But other than that, the tree is mainly just for looks on the hill,
Okay.
I'm gonna step away from the mic for 1 second, and I will leave you to finish setting it. Be right back.
So I might put my skirmishers there on the hill. I think my tactic. I was thinking about tactics. I might try to use my medium cavalry as the main tool to reach the wagons, and use then the skirmisher light infantry as a kind of screen to counter the Byzantines who are coming this way. Bit down a little bit. Yep. Okay. And then I use that. Actually, you have to move it down. Still remaining in the... no, okay, I put this back a little bit because my main objective is to move this medium cavalry.
Pure pizza. Pure. Pure, right? Pure. Like I was teaching you yesterday, shan. That's shan. Pure is something that Scottish people would put like in the front of anything just to emphasize.
There is a voice
the
that I
word.
don't think belongs
Emphasize
to...
the phrase.
Oh, I apologize. That came from me.
Okay, I think we are ready to go.
All right, and I'm back. Perfect timing.
So 3... yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're not going to quibble over a quarter of an inch. So let me just refresh my memory about the rules concerning these wagons. So here's how they work. Basically what's happening here is that we have these wagons which are fleeing from the side of the battle toward Bari. And survivors of the Byzantine army and members of the victorious Norman army looking for plunder have both kind of blundered across these wagons. So the wagons are considered to be obstacles, obscuring terrain, and cover. They are controlled by a unit and they move with them, but if a unit is moving a wagon, its maximum movement is reduced to 4. At the beginning of the game, we're going to roll a d6 to determine what these fugitive units do. So that's this infantry unit and this levy unit. I'm not in control of them until I come within 10 inches of them. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and roll a d6. I closed the window. I didn't mean to do that. Hang on a sec. Here we go. We're going to roll a d6. And here's me just having said that there's only, 4 ways you can roll a die in this game. So I rolled a die and I got a 1. So what that means is that the fugitives are taking defensive positions. So they are they'll shoot if they can, but neither of these units have a shoot activation, so that doesn't matter. They're not gonna move either toward me or away from me. They're just gonna try and stand their ground, which actually is not bad for medium infantry. And I guess it's Levy's best option, although best option of not very many good options. So Luca, as the attacker, you take the first turn. So I guess you need to decide which I'm sorry, I should also say that the objective is to get the wagons off the table. Any unit that's within 3 inches of a wagon at the start of its turn, if there's no other unit within 3 inches of it, can move the wagon with it. So,
okay,
who are you going to start with?
I'm going to start with the medium cavalry.
Okay.
So
I assume to move.
Yeah. To move.
And their move activation is 5.
5, yes.
So go ahead and hit the 2 dice button.
2 dice button.
In the bottom left corner of the screen. There you
5,
go. Hey, 5,
yes.
Exactly what you needed. They have a movement of 10, I think.
10, yeah. So they get basically...
Yeah, it's right about here.
There.
It's not the right tool. It's right about here.
Yeah. Here we go. And
all right.
Then I will move the infantry.
Mm-hmm.
And the infantry is a light infantry. Movement of 8 and a move of 5+ again. So 2 dice. Yep.
Hey, all right.
So they move 8. So basically there.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna position them in a different way. Here we go. Done it. Okay, then I will use my light cavalry,
Mhm.
and should be fine. I don't know how many.
Lights have a move activation of 5. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I played this game, and but I still have to check.
Oh, I know. It's easy to forget, but I have my copy of it open right here. So, we'll just have to, whoever's not taking their turn, will have to be on the lookout for the other person.
Okay, let me see where you are. Okay, you're there. So I'll use my skirmishers. Yeah. Move a little bit. Let's see there. Not much. Okay, and finally, my super elite cavalry. That is the signature dish of the Normans. 6.
Yep, their move is a 5, so you're good.
Yes, is that is no movement is 7 plus.
Oh, sorry, their attack is a 5.
Yeah.
But so no, you've in fact failed. Yeah.
Okay, your turn.
All right. Thank goodness. Well, so these guys down at the bottom, they don't do anything yet. They're still, too confused to do anything. Now, right now, all my units except the light cavalry are within 12 inches of the leader. And because I'm Byzantine, that means they get not only +1 to their courage, but actually +1 to their activation rolls. The downside is that for Byzantine units that are more than 12 inches away from the leader, they get -1 on their courage rolls. So I think I'm going to start by activating my elite infantry. And they're fine. So they move only 6. So they're going to go to... I'm going to arc over this way a little bit and go to right about here. I'm gonna move my... Let's try the skirmishers. Yes. They move 8, being a little bit faster. So they can make it almost all the way to the woods. Go there. Following that, I really need to move the archers, but they are kind of my worst bet. Their move activation is only 6. So statistically, they're not a smart roll. Let's go ahead and move the general and the medium cavalry. Now let's have a look at what you're doing over here. Okay, I don't see a cavalry threat coming on my flank. So what I'm going to do is, let's see if we can activate the general. Yes, no problem. He moves 10. So if he goes right here, just about, I think he should be okay. He's not within 3 of either of these units. Okay.
Yeah, remember that the scenario ends when basically we keep playing until a turn begins with 5 or fewer units remaining in the game.
Yeah.
Or
And then we start rolling to see.
Yeah, exactly. or if the wagons have left the table. And the victory conditions are the player receives a 1d6 glory for each wagon they move off the table, in addition to glory. We didn't do any boasts, so
No, we always forget to do boasts as well, which is a shame because they're fun. Okay, so now I've now got my archers and my light cavalry, who are kind of in the wrong place. So the archers have a move activation of 6, and the light horse have a move activation of 5. So let's start with that light cavalry. They make it. Okay, great. They're very fast. They move 12. So I'm going to send them here, and then like a little kind of skiv off to this direction, which should still keep them out of the Varangian zone. And then finally, we're going to bring up the archers. That is their move activation. As they also only move 6, so they're going to go to right here, which I think will keep them. Yeah, they're fine. Okay, so that is it for the Byzantines, because these guys are not. Well, actually, let's just double check. I still think they are not within. Yeah, it's going to take another turn at least before we're able to take control of these units, and maybe 2. Okay, so Gianluca, that's your go.
okay, yes. So my medium cavalry again. Yep.
Oh, they're getting awful close. So they're going to what, right about there?
Yeah. And my light cavalry. Yep. The light cavalry moves how much?
12.
12. Well, 9 to get there. And another 3. Roughly there. And it should be enough. Yeah. No, so I move a little bit up. Okay, so and then I'll try to move my elite cavalry.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right.
And that moves, was it 10?
Yeah, their move is 10. This is one of the terrible problems of elite cavalry, which is that their charge is devastating, but they're highly disorganized, and as a result, they don't always get into the position where their charge can be effective. When we played when we played tested the landing scenario, the Norman cavalry spent quite a lot of time just strolling on the beach, admiring things.
So that's for my light cavalry, my light infantry, which is also fine.
Yep, that is their move activation.
I moves 8, no?
That's right.
And my skirmishers. 5 he moves, no?
Yes, I believe that's right. Let me double check. So as skirmishers, they have a move activation of 5.
And they move
8 inches.
8.
So all infantry move either 6 inches if they're slow or 8 inches if they're fast.
Okay, that was all.
All right. So in that case, we're gonna move over to my guys. So I'm gonna make my first move with the skirmishers. I'm gonna make my first move with the elite infantry, who again are in kind of the wrong place, so they need to hurry up. And they're fine. So as slowpokes, they only move 6 inches, so they're gonna go to here. Everyone just kind of generally canting off toward the west. And then I'm gonna want to move. Let's see now. Yeah, that'll be fine. So I'm gonna move my medium cav. Yep, they go 10 inches. So that can take them to right around here. Then gonna move my light cavalry. Now, unfortunately, they have just moved out of the leaders, or rather, the leader has moved out of the light cavalry's the command radius, and so the archers. So they're all just gonna have to do their best. Here come the light cav. Oh, just their movement activation is 5, and they're gonna swing around a little bit. They're gonna go 6 to here, and then another 6 to here. And then now for the tricky parts. I think we're going to start with the archers to do a move activation. Okay. They're just going to trundle gradually forward. Actually, going to have to go a little bit over here. And then, so now we're going to do an actually difficult thing. The skirmishers are still within the commander's radius, so they are getting +1 to their activation roll because they are going to try to let's take a look. So I think that these woods are probably obscuring, but units can see through woods up to 3 inches. So for example, if you are in if you're within 3 inches of the edge of the wood, you can see us. But if we are on the two opposite sides of these woods, we can't see each other. So in that case, they're just going to make a regular move activation. I was going to try and skirmish with them, which is their move and shoot, but since I think they can't see this unit of skirmishers, and even then they might not be in range, we're just going to do a regular move with them. And they succeed. So they're going to go 8 to right about here. This is not very... Here, look. Spread out a little bit. Skirmishers. Look a little more disorganized. There we go. Okay, and so now, starting in my next turn, assuming nothing changes, which it might, I will be able to give orders to these two units and hopefully maybe get them moving. But something might happen in between. So speaking of something happening in between, Gianluca, your turn.
Yes, something will happen in between because I start by using my first attack, my free attack activation, which are the Normans. I'm exactly 10 inches medium cavalry from those archers defending the wagon.
You from the medium infantry.
Yeah,
they're not archers.
Okay. I'll try to get them before.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So, Gianluca is using one of the Normans' special rules, which means that they can automatically succeed on 1 attack activation per game. Okay, go ahead and to make your roll. Got to succeed the activation. Their attack is. Their attack is 5. I think you're muted, Gianluca.
Yes, so they did a free attack.
The free attack, of course, which I had just finished explaining. Yes.
And,
so that is your 12 dice.
It got a
And
4, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
okay. So and these guys are medium infantry. So that means their defense value is 4. So 12 dice hitting on 4s. So they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits.
Oof.
So
Yours was a very good one.
So your armor 4, I think.
Yeah.
You are armor 3, and I'm
Armor
also
3.
armor 3. So what that means is that since you got 4 hits and I got 5, we both inflict 1 casualty.
Okay, that was not a very good attack on my side, but anyway.
Well,
So
medium infantry are pretty survivable.
Excuse me, say child incursion.
That's all right. So now at the end of the combat, because we both, I'll just take off one of your cavalry guys. At the end of the combat, because we both took a casualty, we need to take courage tests. As we both have courage 4, and we both took 1 casualty, which means that we're -1 to the roll, but I'm also +1 to the roll because I'm within 12 inches of my leader. So go ahead and roll 2 dice for your courage test.
4.
That is a fail.
Okay.
And I succeed. So you're going to retreat and become battered.
So halfway, so it was 5.
Yeah, because I don't think you're within. Yeah, you're too far.
No,
so
far away.
So yeah, so you're gonna go back 5, and you're gonna become battered. Which let's say we're gonna indicate by putting this. This is another useful thing, I guess, that you can do with these little guys. We're gonna put this person panicking symbol on you. So you zoom in, you can see there's now a little yelling man, indicating that the medium cavalry are frightened. Okay. So one thing that we haven't been doing, not that we have to, is testing for wild charges, because neither of us, because Gianluca's elite cavalry are drilled, neither of us have any units that have to test for them. So if you're used to playing elite cavalry or mounted men-at-arms in Lion Rampant, that's why they're not. I mean, that and they're too far away. Okay, Gianluca. So although the attack didn't go great, the activation was successful, which means you can now go ahead and activate your next unit.
And the general is not particularly pleased by the outcome of the charge of its medium cavalry, so he decides to come closer.
Okay, he's gonna make a move activation
and fails.
It fails. All right, so that means play passes to me. Well, that's great news for me because I am getting out of here. Now, the problem with levy infantry is, well, it's maybe a mistake to say the problem with levy infantry. They're just, I mean, what's not a problem with them? But we're definitely going to try and get them out of here. So I'm going to. Boy, I wish my army weren't so slow. I'm going to try to activate the levied infantry to move, and I'm going to suffer as a result of this. I think. No, you know what? I'm going to activate the elite infantry to move. Let's go with the well, the guys who can't get it wrong. The stars of the show, the Varangian Guard. So they're going to go to right about here. Need to do some traffic control with this army. Then I'm going to try to activate the light cavalry to move. Yep. And they're going to go way around wide, basically so that the levy have have got some room, right? They need a gap in the line to move out through. So then, and I'm gonna regret this, I'm gonna activate the levy to move. But they make it. Okay. Now they can't go very fast because they have the wagon with them and it's hard to move. So they're just gonna trudge gradually. Four inches to the east. Finally, well, not finally. I'm gonna move up the general. Yep. To stay. Oh no, let's not do that. To stay in the center of the action. He's gonna move to here. He's not gonna go as full distance because he wants to stay close to the rest of the army. And he's a little bit of a coward. Disgraceful, really. Then I'm gonna move up the archers. No, let's do the. I'm gonna try to activate a skirmish action on the skirmishers. Let's do it. Oh no, that's not gonna do it. Skirmish has a 7+ activation, so even with the general's bonus, which they may not get because he can't see them. That's not gonna cut it. So that means that's the end of my turn. I didn't get to move the infantry, and play passes back to you, Gianluca. You're muted again.
Sorry, because of the children.
No,
incursions.
sure.
I put a mute.
It's just
on.
hard to tell sometimes when you are,
Yeah,
like,
no,
it's
sorry.
hard to notice.
So to start with, the Norman general is cursing against his medium cavalry, which has been repelled by the medium.
So in fact, before we do anything else, they have to try and rally.
Yes, good point.
Now they're, and that's fine. They are rallied.
Fine. Okay, but they cannot do anything else.
Right. That's what they do this turn.
Okay, so I'll. Was it me rolling a 6 to move my skirmishers? I think they succeed.
That's right.
But they cannot, since they cannot attack, they will move within 3 inches. So I think there is another children incursion coming. So just to the border of the wood, just to be inside the wood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that is really what they wanted to achieve. Then the my light infantry with bow is too far away. It's 12 inches. No, their
shoot is 12 inches. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Remember that the rule for measuring range and line of sight and what have you in Lion Rampant is if any member of the unit can reach any member of the unit. But it looks right now like they're just a skosh.
I'll try to move them. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, easy peasy.
Just to be closer, so they can shoot the stuff. Now those are medium cavalry. Okay, and better if I stay a little bit far away from the little cavalry, not too close. So they can be. Oh, can be 10 inches the cavalry, no?
Yeah.
So actually they move, but not that close. Just to be outside of your range. Just a little bit more. Like that. So I can reach you with my bows, but you cannot reach me with your things. And then the light cavalry. I'll try to move the light cavalry. Yes. And it moves 12, isn't it?
That's right.
So, that is my medium. So 10 will go there. And then move a couple of inches that way. Okay, and then I'll try to move my general No.
Oh, and they need to make a courage test because I'm the Byzantines, and that means a double 1
It's true. Yes.
activation roll means that you have been bribed. So now that's the good news for me. The bad news is that with a courage of 3, I'm not holding out.
So the general has been bribed. Yes, fine.
Yeah, he's fine. I mean, he may have taken the money, but he's not. That doesn't necessarily mean he's actually gonna deliver. You just can't get the help these days. Yeah, so this is a enemy units who roll a double 1 activation roll need to take a courage test, representing the fact that the reason that they're not doing anything may be that the Byzantines have bribed them not to participate in the battle. Okay, so that means it's my go. All right, let's get out of here. Okay. I'm going to start by moving the Varangians. Yep. The very familiar position of the Varangians, which is that, of course, they are being deployed to make a heroic last stand to cover somebody else's retreat, which is kind of what they do. A lot of heroic last stands in this man's army. Okay, then I'm going to try and activate the levy to move. Yes. Normally they need a 6. Obviously, with the general here, they need a 5. But unfortunately, they don't go very fast. So they're going to make it pretty much just to the foot of the hill. But crucially, bringing their wagon with them. Then I'm going to try and activate the medium infantry to move. Yes. And similarly, like their levy comrades, they can't go very fast. And indeed, they can go even slower because they need to stay out of the levy's bubble. Then I'm gonna move the I'm gonna move the archers. Yes, they're just gonna inch forward. Again, they're gonna try to cover the escape of the wagons. And then finally, I'm gonna move the... No, you know what? I think the medium cavalry are going to stay right where they are for now. Threatening a counterpunch. Okay, so that is it for me.
The Normans have feigned retreat, if I remember correctly.
That's right. So certain Norman units have feigned retreat. So they're but I don't know that any of the units that have it are within range.
Yeah, only elite cavalry have a free feigned retreat and reload upgrade. So
yeah, and so they need to be within charge range of a target.
Yeah. So I think you moved just out of. Oh no, I can shoot with the light.
Okay, so you're going to activate the light infantry to shoot.
Yes. Well, let's see how much she's to attack is.
So their shoot activation, because so the light infantry have the mixed weapons upgrade. What that means is that they gain a 12-inch shoot attack, heading on 5s.
6 plus.
And yes, their activation is 6.
Okay, let's try to move something first. Try to move my light cavalry.
Oh,
no.
dear me.
Okay.
You are...
The Normans are not very well organized tonight.
not very coordinated today.
No.
Okay, I'm going to start by trying to move my light cavalry. Yes. To just about here. And then I'm going to move the levy. Yes. Very gradually retreating.
You are escaping.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, I realize that just running for my life is hardly very heroic. But on the other hand, we are the fleeing, defeated army here, you know. Heroic is not really what we're going for. I'm going to move the medium infantry. No, I am not. And I also have to take a courage test for that unit because the Byzantines, they force other people to make courage tests when they roll double ones, but they also have to do it themselves. So that is a medium infantry unit. Its base courage is 4. It's up 1 because it's taken a casualty, but it is within 12 inches of the general. So basically, it's +1 -1. So let's see how it goes. Oh no! So that's bad news for me. Great news for you. The infantry are going to, so basically they have decided that they have been betrayed. You know, it's a setup. The fix is in. You know, how do these Normans know we were here? You know, the intrigues of the Byzantine palace have you know, resulted in our defeat, and so they are going to run away and become battered, which is exactly what I needed them not to do. Because even if I rally them next turn, which I might, they still won't be able to move. So looks like a little bit of the Normans' bad luck is starting to rub off on me. All right, Gianluca, your turn.
Okay, I'll try to shoot with the light infantry on your medium cavalry where your general is.
Yep.
Nothing. Okay.
Nothing. All right. Okay.
Good
I have to start by trying to rally my medium infantry. They do rally, but that's all they're going to do this turn. Next, I'm going to keep ever so... in fact, I think I can't. I think the stupid medium infantry have marched right into the way of what I was planning to do. So I'm going to move the medium cavalry. Yes, that's fine. And I'm just going to move them a skosh up in this direction, just so that I can now activate the elite infantry and they can move in without having to be within 3 inches of somebody. So if they go there, they'll be safe and safe. Okay. Okay. Well, I was not able to move the medium infantry, but I'm gonna try to move. Oh gosh. Well, gonna try and move the levy. Let's see how this goes. Oh, yay. Right, they got to make a courage test. And now, as levy, their courage could do with some improvement. It's 5. So they fail. So they're gonna run away and become battered. So this unit, which has not seen a minute of combat, which has not seen hide nor hair of a Norman, just completely loses its cool.
Well, the point of the scenario is that these 2 units with the wagons, they were half thinking of getting, you know, the stuff on the wagons for themselves.
Yeah, so which is one of the things that can happen on that initial table is that they can actually start to run away from both sides.
Exactly. So it is possible that these serfs thought, maybe, in the confusion, we ran away with the wagon and we keep what's on them.
Well, my brilliant plan to just take the wagons and run is kind of falling apart on the execution of the simplest part of it, which is the just walking the wagons in a straight line off the board. Everything else, my whole pincer maneuver, going great. The wagon part could be better. All right, that means it's your go.
It is clear that the Byzantine bribe has some effect because my units are not moving. Starting from the general, which is there in the background, and his bodyguard are starting to feel a bit uneasy about the behavior of their captain, who is not really
it's hanging out back here. Yeah.
But since my people don't know what to do, the light infantry will try to shoot your general again.
Okay.
With no
wow.
But they're bickering among themselves and decided not to do it.
Statistically unlikely. Okay, well, the first thing that I have to do this turn is I have to try and rally the levy. Yes. So they are going to stop being battered, but that's all they're going to do. Okay. Yeah. See, I don't know that that's a good move. I'm tempted to charge these light infantry before they get any ideas, but light infantry are like defense 4, I think. Like, they're not that bad. Their armor's not great. So they would take a lot of casualties, but they would still do the same amount of damage to me, and I'm not wild about it. If they had been shooting me for 3 turns, I might have gone for it just because, I need to dissuade them from further aggression. But for now, I actually don't think it's necessary.
And that's why we introduced the feigned retreat.
Yeah, exactly. To lure attackers into. I mean, this is a thing that is a problem for like lots of units that have wild charge, right? So let's start out by moving the elite infantry. Fine. Well done. They have executed their tactical role of walking pretty adequately for this whole battle so far. Okay, we're going to go to there. Then the medium infantry are going to try to activate to move. Yes, but they can only go 4 because they're pushing the wagon. They're going to go to here. It doesn't seem like much, and that's because it's not. Then the light cavalry are going to move. Yes, their move is 5. They're going to move to here. And just for the heck of it, the skirmishers are going to try to skirmish. Yes, they're actually going to do it. So what that means is they're going to make a half move just to here, right? This is a notional move, right? They're going to be exactly 3 inches away from their target. It's the only place they can be. Because you can only see 3 inches in woods, and you can't go within 3 inches of another unit, so they're going to have to be exactly 3 inches away. So they're now going to make a.
You're shooting at me.
Yes, well, yeah. I mean, don't get too excited. So skirmish, they make a half move and shoot. But they shoot at -1, which effectively means they shoot hitting on 6s. Now, normally that would be okay against other skirmishers because your armor is only 1, but because you're in the woods, your armor actually goes up to 2. Unlike elite infantry, skirmishers don't have the unit rule that means they don't take the penalties for being in the woods, because the penalties actually make them better. They're so bad at fighting that the penalties are an improvement. So that is 1 hit, which means no kills, because they needed 2 6s to do anything. So I fired my shots, but unfortunately, you know, we one of them hit a tree. And that's it for me. That's gonna be my. But I'll try and move the archers. What the heck? They're not doing anything else. Gonna move to here. It's just not anybody's way. But in case you do break through, we can get some shots off. Okay, that's it for me.
Okay. Shall I try to shoot again? Yeah, why not? I'll try to shoot again, your general, with...
It's got to work at some point.
Yes,
Yay!
finally.
All right. So your shoot value is 5. So that's 12 dice hitting on 5s.
Yeah.
And medium
1,
cavalry.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oof. That is pretty good. I'm regretting my decision not to charge them. We are
And there is
armored.
your general as well.
Yes. So I'm gonna roll. No, he's fine.
But you lose 2, no?
Yes, I do, because we're only armor 3. So 2 of them die, and they got to make a courage test. Now their base courage is 4 plus 1 because they have a the artifact, which puts it to 3. So, but they've lost 2 guys, so I'm gonna need a 5 or better. They're fine. But they have I mean, they're actually perilously close to half strength. That's actually pretty bad for them.
Okay. I thought to do skirmish action with my skirmishers on top.
It's in the name. Now the skirmish action activates on a 7, so you're not sure there's something a little more likely that you'd like to do first?
Yes, probably right. Shall I do a light? I'll try to charge you with my medium cavalry against your light cavalry.
Okay.
No.
No. All right. Well, I gave bad advice there, but statistically, I was right. Okay. Edward, I apologize. We're not more zoomed in, but what can I say? It's a very spread out battlefield. Okay. So my first action, I'm going to try and move the medium infantry. Yes, that's exactly what they needed. We're going to continue. Let me just double check something here. Hills effect. Right, okay, that's fine. They can move on the hill normally. Hills are cover when you're defending against an attack and you're higher than the enemy, and they're obscuring in that you can't shoot across them, right? So if you're on one side, you can't shoot something on the other side of a hill, even if it's within range. But they can move, that's fine. So they're just going to go to right about here. And similarly, the levy you can activate to move. If they do make it, they're going to go back and get their wagon. Then they're unfortunately not close enough. But here's what they're going to do. So the elite infantry can activate to move. Oh, no. Oh, wait, yes, because they're within 12 inches of the general. So they rolled a 4, but they get a +1, so it's a 5, which is their move activation. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, so they go 6. And they're going to go to right here. Excellent. Okay. And then the light cavalry are going to try to skirmish. And they make it. So they can move up to 6, and they need to be basically right about here. Yep. So they're going to move to here, and they're going to take a shot at your light cavalry. Now, normally they would a skirmish right there at -1 on the dice, so they are going to need 6s to hit.
Really?
That is 6 6s. That's fully 50% of the dice coming up 6s.
Luck is
Yeah,
slightly on your side tonight.
well, you know what? It's our, what can I say? God is on our side. We got this holy relic. That is 2 kills against those light cavalry who are armor 3.
And
that is
but they
improbable.
They don't care.
Well, okay. So they're well, I mean, you say they don't care, but that is the lowest result they could have got and still not run away. Like golly. That is some extremely accurate javelin throwing. Okay. And that's it for me.
Okie dokie. Okay, I don't really like these elite infantry there ready to attack me.
That's the idea.
Now
you can charge me. I'm only defense
4.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I'm either yeah, defense 4, armor 4.
Okay, so my mounted archers, I mean my light infantry cavalry, and they're not archers because they got javelins.
Mm-hmm.
And they shoot at 6+. They try to shoot at shoot back at your elite cavalry.
My light cavalry, yeah. Okay.
Yes, light cavalry.
Yep.
6. Oh, just.
So now they roll 12 dice, hitting on 5s.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. So.
Just 1 short of 2 kills, so they get one of them. And they've got to take a courage test. And they are outside of the 12-inch radius, so they're actually at -2 instead of -1 because we're not comfortable when we're far from our general. So their base courage is 4, so they actually need a 6. Is that right?
Yeah.
No, their base courage is 5, I think.
Oh,
It's either 4 or 5. Hang on, let me double check because this actually
courage is 5.
Courage is 5, so they're going to need a 7. Okay, they're all right.
In the case, I charge them with my medium cavalry as well.
Yep. Well, that's going to go right in. All right, we're going to evade as a reaction to that.
Okay.
You might be surprised to learn. And we do. So we're going to move 6 inches away from you.
And I move all my way.
Yeah, but basically, you just aren't going to be able to go far enough to get to us, I don't think. But yeah, so we run away. So you get to move 10. Yeah. All right. Well, that's not great.
Actually, more.
Okay.
Okay. So next? My light infantry shoot again at your medium cavalry.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
I hit a 5.
So, that's nothing.
Okay.
Because they're armor 3.
I'll try to move my skirmishers.
Yep. Are you moving or skirmishing?
I'll try skirmish. No, because I want to try to move my
your general
as well. My general. Well, I'll try just to move.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
All of a sudden, it's fine. So they're still inside the wood, but on the very edge. Try to find you. Yeah, finally, the general decides to move. All is full 10 inches. Okay, basically I want to just aside your
You have countercharge if I try to charge you, right?
Yeah, but yeah, just outside. Basically, you're
All
just outside. Okay, I
Okay.
moved everything this time.
Well done. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna move my. Okay. I'm gonna start by ordering an attack with the elite infantry. Easy. They're going to attack the light infantry.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay, so your defense value 4, I think.
Yep.
No,
Then you attack at 3.
yeah, your defense value 4. I'm attack value 3, so I'm 12 dice hitting on 3s.
Everything, no, apart from 1, no, 2. 10 hits.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hits. Yeah, 5 kills. Now you go ahead and roll your
5
defense.
kills.
12 dice hitting on 4s. That's
1,
1, 2, 3.
4,
You
5.
got one.
Yeah, at least 1. Yeah.
Okay.
I lose 5 and you lose 1.
All right. So now we both need to make courage tests because we both took casualties.
And my general doesn't give any bonus.
No, because infantry are scum.
Yep.
So you're gonna be making that on a -5, which means you're gonna need a 9.
10.
Oh, it's actually I take back. You need a 10. I think you're courage 5. So, yeah. So that's exactly what you needed to. Exactly what you needed to get.
So,
but you are still no, you're courage 4. You're 4. You're fine. Anyway, I'll do mine as well. We're fine also. So you're gonna bounce. So you're gonna get pushed back 4 inches. Oh no, wait, no. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go. We both passed our courage test, which means I retreat.
No, because you won the attack.
But it's oh, is that right? Oh, I've got it wrong. Yeah, okay. Then yes, you bounce. We shove you back.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's a start. Next, my medium cavalry are going to move. Yep. They're going to move into the center. Right about there-ish. And my archers. Oh, no. Hang on. Let's not be hasty. The levy are going to move. Or the medium infantry are going to move first. Okay. So you're going to go basically to the edge of the hill. Painstakingly dragging their wagon. Then the archers are going to shoot at the skirmishers hiding in the woods. Yes, they are. So that's 12 dice hitting on 5s, looking for pairs because they're in cover, which gives them +1 armor. Oof. 1, 2. We got 1 off them. That is not as good as archers ought to be. Okay, so we killed a skirmisher. Now they do have to make a courage test, and their courage is not amazing, but it's better than that.
Yeah. The less popular skirmisher died.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody liked that guy. Okay, and finally the levy. No, not finally. So the light cavalry are going to try and shoot at your medium cavalry. Yep, we're in range. And they're going to succeed. So they're 12 dice hitting on 5s. 1, 2, 3, 4. So they got 1 kill. So you're going to make a courage test.
Oh, so
minus.
I removed one myself.
Oh, okay. Hang on. I'll just duplicate him.
10.
They don't care at all. Okay. Well, then finally the levy are going to try to move, and they're going to succeed. close. Keep pulling. Do they? I now's the bit where I'm going to find out that they need to go off the north edge. No, leave the table. That's all right then. All right. So it is your go.
My light infantry charges your light infantry.
I don't. You
Yeah.
you're like cavalry. Yeah.
Sorry, cavalry. Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it. Okay.
5.
That's a big no. Light cavalry, not chargers. In the main. They didn't quite have the guts for it. Their attack activation is 7. All right. Then
again.
Luck
is not on my side tonight.
Luck you have been you've been pretty unlucky. I won't deny that. The medium infantry are going to move. Yes, they are. And they're going to go again just to almost the very edge of the board. And I'm going to take the gamble. The levy you're going to try and move. God, are they? Let's find out. They're pretty bad, but I think their move is okay. Yes, it's 6. So that is exactly what they needed. And they are going to go off the board. Oh, wait. No, they're not. I was too zoomed in. They're still going. They've got a long way to go. Oh, I thought this was within my grasp. See, this never happens in live play.
We've had a question earlier from Crossing Obstacle Gamers who asks, is the game decided after a specific number of turns or just the wagons move off the board?
So there are two trigger conditions. One is wagons move off the board, and the other is when casualties start to mount up. So when there are 5 units left on the board, you start rolling it every turn. You roll a die. If that result is greater than the number of units left on the board, then this turn is going to be the last turn.
Yeah, we haven't lost any unit yet, so I guess it will.
We've got some that are in pretty rough shape, but none that have actually been lost. Though one of the things that you're going to see is that it's once units start dying, they start dying. We have a couple of units which are one bad die roll away from being wiped out. Okay, so they have both moved, which was not quite the amazing result that I thought it was going to be. Then I need to keep the general in the center, more or less. My light cavalry are going to try and shoot at your medium cavalry. Yes, they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's another 1 kill.
Okay, you take it off, so I don't.
Yeah, sure thing. So what that means is
7.
That is they are courage 4, I believe.
Yeah, so should be fine. Even if now they are
half strength, which is important. Yes. Then the archers are going to move. They are. And they should probably have shot at the skirmishers, but they need to get to a point where they can bring more units into their effective range.
I think
frankly,
it's quite unlikely now that I will reach your wagons.
Doesn't seem very likely, no. But you never know. See, this is where we should have done boasts, right? So that you had the chance of glory, even if you don't get the wagons. Which is something we always neglect, and yet something that's very important in the game.
Although yes, the wagon has 1d6, so
yeah, there's a lot, but it might be 1. Yeah. Okay. Then as tempting as it is, I'm not sending the elite infantry chasing these guys off the board. They're going to stay right where they are. Actually, no. They're just too far away, which you planned. They're going to move back a little bit toward the general. Yes, they are. You're just gonna dress the line. These guys have gone. I guess the skirmishers will try to skirmish, and they'll succeed. So they're gonna go to basically right here, and they're gonna take a shot at your skirmishers, hitting on 6s. That's nothing. That's an entire bunch of nothing.
My turn?
Yes, it is absolutely your turn. In fact, these guys need to be a little further away.
Historically, the Normans by now would have left when they saw that, that the
That's right. No chance for plunder. They've already just kind of they lose interest. If you can stop them from scoring in the first half,
But given that I want to try to do something, I'll try to charge your general with my medium cavalry to try.
All right.
To
well, you might get
last
lucky.
Minute.
No. But you. And you need to take a courage test.
Oh, sorry.
You need to take a courage test because of the Byzantine double ones.
Double one. Yes, it's true. Yes, as well.
Oh, you failed. You needed a 7.
I failed as well.
You are wiped. No, you're not wiped. You're battered.
Yes.
So you're gonna move 5 inches away and become battered. Just these devious Byzantines. I had a tremendous putting these together. I was like, these Normans have a big advantage. Light infantry with mixed weapons are really good, and of course those elite cavalry. But those elite cavalry deliver a gigaton punch if they hit something, but they do have to get in there first. Which is why they sometimes want to attack instead of moving, which I suspect is what you were going to do.
Well, one way of helping with that would be to choose a general and
who had the appropriate had the automatic move activations.
And we have characters in our campaigns that can be chosen. Perhaps next time we play, we select a character.
I know I didn't think about it, but it's a good idea. Okay, so I'm gonna activate the medium infantry, and they make it, and they're gonna do a runner. Where are the archers? How are they doing? Just out of range. Okay. Archers are, of course, cavalry's worst nightmare. But they're just out of range at present. You know what? I'm going to activate the levy. Just try to get these in the bank. Yes. They are.
Talking of which, historically, in these two battles, especially in the first one of Olivento, the chronicles say that the Normans waited for the Byzantines to attack. So basically, they waited until the Byzantines were in range of the heavy cavalry, and then they charged, which is what dispersed then the Byzantines. So is accurate in that way. Historically, the Normans did not move there, at least in these two battles, their heavy cavalry much. They waited until, basically the Byzantines were in range.
Well, that's something that you see in the way that that people talk about, like in Steve Tibble's book, where he talks about the strategy of crusading armies, right? That they have the same thing where they have to learn to not, like, if they charge too early, they run the risk of their cavalry getting separated from their infantry.
Yeah, exactly.
And the enemy possibly being able to get in between them. Okay, well, I get, if that's the problem, then I'm going to move my archers forward. Yes, I am. But I can't move them too far forward because they'll get too close to the Varangians, so they're going to go to right about here. If the skirmishers want to get in a shooting match, that's fine by me. Okay. So that's it for me. I have moved everybody I want to move.
Okay. What am I going to do? So far. So I'll try to shoot you with my light infantry. What else can I do? Got other choices. I could shoot you with my light cavalry.
That's the light cavalry back here.
Oh, yes.
These are the lights over here.
Nope. So they
no,
might
it's 12 inches. They're only 6 inches. That's right, because they only got the javelins.
Yeah. Well, I'll try to shoot you with a light infantry.
Okay. The shoot activation is 6.
Well,
Yep.
once in a while.
Okay.
I hit with a 5, so nothing.
That's right, because they're armor 4.
I'll try to shoot you with my skirmishers. Yes.
Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a kill.
Yeah, at least one.
Okay, and they got to take a courage test. So they're at -2, but +1 because they're within range of the general. Yes, because they're courage 3. They're courage 3, so they rolled a 4. So they are fine because they're at -1, which brings them down to 3, which is the same as their courage.
I'll move my general.
Any other unit
No.
broken? Yep. Alrighty. So I'm gonna move my infantry. No, I'm not. Your turn.
Oh, okay. I'll move my general. Yay! Is it?
No, your move activation is 7. I'll move my infantry. I will.
So I think I failed
Yeah.
at least 3 or 4 move activations with my
You
general.
have failed a disturbing number of activations you should probably have got. So how about I'll try and move the levy. And they have to take a courage test. But they succeeded. So they just do nothing. Your go.
Sorry, there are other questions. Unity loss. I totally agree. There is a question: was the unit loss thing sounded like a good way to end a battle? To be honest, yes. So my turn again.
Yes. Yeah, I mean it's because of that. Like particularly in Lion Rampant, number of turns is always a bit. Because how long is a turn? Okay, so those guys activated to do whatever they feel like.
I was
trying to charge. All right, I'm going to try and evade as a response.
Okay, so I think I moved
No.
off.
Oh God,
Okay.
and I have to take a courage test. But I passed. So we're going to fight, which is almost as bad.
But I only have 6 dice.
That's true. And
I've
got armor 3. So,
no, nothing.
Well, our defense value is 6. So also nothing. So neither of us have to take courage tests. That means that you bounce because you're the attacker.
Yeah, I bounce back on.
Yes.
So not even that I could do. I'll try to shoot you with my soldiers up there. Yes.
Okay.
Your Varangians.
Okay. So that's hitting on 5s. Nothing.
1, 2, nothing. Okay, so I'll try to move my general.
Gotta move that general.
Yeah,
Yay!
finally.
I mean, I'm happy. And he's about to charge me and kill me.
Oh, I know. I got the light infantry left. They try to skirmish.
You mean the skirmishers?
The light cavalry.
The light cavalry. All right. Okay.
And they succeed.
And
they move 6 and then they shoot.
Yep. Who they shoot at?
At your medium cavalry, your general.
Okay.
If they are in range. No, they're not.
They're not.
Okay, in the
they
case
could probably shoot the light cav though.
Oh yeah. So what the kind of that? Yeah, no.
1, 2,
nothing.
3. No, that's not nothing. That's because they they hit on 6s on a skirmish.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Right. Yeah,
So,
okay.
Big fat nothing. I got my skirmishers left.
Yep.
We try to shoot at your elite cavalry, elite infantry for probably not very good thing to do, but there was no point.
They hit on 5s. I mean, they're not doing anything else, right?
Yes, they succeed.
Activation succeeds.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Good grief!
Killed 2 of them.
There are snipers in the trees.
I think it's all the bad luck that I had all of a sudden comes back in one go.
Oh no. Well, that's not great. So they now have to take a courage test at -4.
It doesn't make any difference because you will escape next round with the wagon, but at least it's
and they
satisfaction.
No, you got some good shots off. And one of my most dangerous units is now at half strength. Yeah. Is that it for everybody?
Yep.
All right. So then, yes, the infantry are going to try and walk off. They succeed. And then the levy are going to try and walk off, and they succeed.
Okay, so that's the end of the scenario.
So they're now both off the board. So I feel like, so this is one of those things where this actually could have gone, like, where I was successful, I think, was if you look at the battlefield, there's this area here is kind of a bottleneck, right? Like sort of the woods on one side and the farm on the other. Actually make it like if you can get in there and blockade it, you can hold it. And one of the things that the Byzantines have, the Byzantines are kind of like an all-rounder army in this. They're not, they don't really, they can take anything, but they don't necessarily excel at anything, whereas the Normans are very much about their punching arm of heavy cavalry.
If the cavalry get there, yes.
If they get there, right? Like if they get their charge off, they're devastating. If they don't, that's kind of their main bit. But so by holding this here, having the Varangians who are quite sturdy, but like that, this line was a round away from collapsing. When those elite cavalry hit my medium cavalry, it was going to be Katie bar the door. That is a pretty uneven matchup. And similarly down here, the light cavalry were just keeping these guys at arm's reach, but that's all they could. I mean, they couldn't do anything else. So these guys were really, the archers were really the only other thing left, holding the fort, except that they did what they had to do, which is they kept everybody else away long enough. Like, I honestly think maybe even taking the movement penalty and like going through some of this slower terrain down here to just get past the line and chase the wagons with the cavalry might have been the move, because the light cavalry could have at least stopped the wagons moving long enough for everybody else to catch up. But also I kind of again, it would have been challenging if they had decided to walk away from me because I didn't have very fast movers.
Crossing Obstacles comes with a suggestion, and they say, it might be just because I've never played Lion Rampant, but getting to know the target number that you are rolling for would be good, at least for some rolls. Just saying 12 dice hitting on 5s, for example, would be nice for understanding what's happening on the battlefield.
So what's happening when we attack is if you look at a Lion Rampant unit here, I'll bring up one of the rosters. So here's the Norman roster. And I'm going to zoom in on it. It's maybe not super clear. Unfortunately, I can't magnify it any more than this. But each unit has got, on the right-hand side, its attack value and its defense value. And then if it can shoot, it also has a shoot value. And that is the target number that you're trying to hit when you roll. So if you're at full strength, you're rolling 12 dice. If you're at half strength or below, you're rolling 6 dice. And you're trying to get that target number. So when the elite cavalry attack, they roll 12 dice, and every die that rolls 3 or higher is a hit. Then you compare the number of hits you got to the armor value of the unit you're attacking. So let's say they were attacking a unit of light infantry. Light infantry have an armor value of 2. So that means that every 2 hits removes a model from the unit being attacked. So you can have and armor generally goes from 2 to 4, although skirmishers and levy are only armor 1. So when we said like 12 dice hitting on 5s, that's, if archers shoot, they roll 12 dice, and every 5 or better is a hit. And so that is kind of one of the few things that we're able to consistently remember, because almost everybody's like shoot values are the same. They all either hit on 5s or 6s. In fact, every unit that has a shoot in this entire game hits on 5s. But it's only when they're skirmishing, so when they've moved in the same turn, or when they are shooting at long range, that the target number goes up to 6. So you also have an attack value and a defense. When you're being attacked, you fight back. There are actually units, the light infantry are 1, and so are the medium infantry, where their defense value is higher than their attack value. So if you are charged, the unit that is charging you uses their attack value, and you use your defense value. And for those kind of like spear infantry units, that's actually what they want. They want to be charged. They are better on defense than they are on offense, which is why they're so good at like blocking an area and keeping people from going into it. By contrast, like the elite cavalry have a great attack value, but kind of a mediocre defense value. They want to be spurring into the attack, and so if they get charged, that's bad news for them. Although the good news is they have an ability called countercharge, which may allow them to use their attack value instead. So yeah, those are among the few things that we kind of like remember off the tops of our heads. But yeah, if you haven't played the game before, that's what's happening there. If you took a look at the roster, you'll see that every unit's stats are really pretty simple, and they're all, with a few exceptions, in Lion Rampant, a unit of light cavalry is a unit of light cavalry is a unit of light cavalry. There are some slight differences. So like these guys have javelins, where most light cavalry have bows. But for the most part, all light cavalry are, pretty much the same. They fulfill a similar tactical role. So now the both Viking in the Sun and Crusader States do add some ways to customize those units a little bit more than the core book. But even so, it remains pretty simple. One of the nice things about Lion Rampant is that you just use these broad categories to fit what's in your army. So we looked at the Varangians and we went, well, and particularly because they're kind of the protagonists of Harald's saga, they must be elites. The saga is full of them doing heroic things, and certainly that is the kind of role they fulfilled in the Byzantine army. They were part of the kind of core imperial army, the imperial bodyguard. But also, if you wanted to say that they were static medium defensive infantry, you could make that case. They spend a lot of time guarding things. So yeah, no, sorry, that's something we probably should have explained, but hopefully that helps put it into a little more context.
Perfect. I think in playtests actually went both ways. So if it wasn't for the bad luck activation,
you had that. That was statistically improbable. Yeah, yes, boy. Yes. But also, it is definitely a limitation of elite cavalry. Like it is certainly an area where they struggle. This is exactly the kind of like fast pursuit is exactly the kind of tactical situation that they don't do well in, and what you want to do is like throw your light cavalry forward to like slow the other side up,
which is a little bit what I try to do, but perhaps I should have employed the light cavalry.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were just a little you had some even they didn't get to move as quickly as they wanted to.
Also, it was good for you to choose the infantry to defend the wagon. For some
reason,
I thought you had archers.
They felt like the obvious choice. Yeah. I mean, the archers would have done okay, but they would have got murdered. They're only armor 2. I wanted to. Now, I mean, if I hadn't got to them in time, or if they'd gone south, then that would have been a problem, because they would have been a big. That's one of my better units, and that's the medium infantry came out of my points budget. Like so that's a 4-point unit that spent the entire game doing.
But in this scenario, nothing. A lot depends on from the decision of the wagons.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If they had, if they had gone south and stayed out of my command range, that would have been a bigger problem for me for sure.
Yeah, so it can go in different ways. So it can be played several times, and becomes basically a different scenario with them moving or not. Okay,
But so I hope that we've like demonstrated, some of the ways in which you can use virtual tabletop like this one to play Lion Rampant. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward. More could be done to automate those processes. Like, it wouldn't be hard to create character sheets for these units that allowed you to just click attack or shoot for them and then have it roll that. But I felt that this was, one, I don't know how to do that, and two, this is simpler, right? Like, it doesn't take much to actually pick up and play. The tokens are probably the most time consuming part of it, and the maps. But conveniently, we have a solution for that.
Yes, we have uploaded some digital content on Drive-Thru-RPG, where you can also find the electronic versions of Crusader States and Viking in the Sun. Is not at the moment, but it is a matter of days. Although the maps and tokens that we are uploading are those of Crusader States. So perhaps another time we can give it a try when they're available on Drive-Thru-RPG.
Although there is a lot of overlap. So, for example, a lot of the figures that we used for the Byzantines are in that Crusader States, because there's a Byzantine army in Crusader States as well. So
yeah,
there's apart from the apart from a few of the units, there's actually a significant overlap between the two.
You can probably use also the tokens of the Franks for the Normans here as well.
some of them are a bit later medieval in their look, but I mean, it depends how finely you want to split your hairs.
Exactly.
All right.
Well, if there is interest in the future, we could do a collection for Viking in the Sun as well. Let's see how it goes with the first one. But yes, in a few days, we will post the link to the Drive-Thru-RPG on our Facebook page and here when it is available. Remember also to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we will post other gaming evenings and other talks in due course. Perfect. Thank you very much for attending our tutorial and game this evening, and I hope to see you again soon on YouTube or on Facebook or at game conventions.
Now that we can
finally, yes, we hope to go to Salute next year. Perfect. Thank you all.
All right. Thanks again, everyone, and good night.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.